world, and welcome to another episode of Marcel Mindset TV. Remember, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button below, and if you find some value from these videos that we deliver on a weekly basis, make sure you are sharing these videos to someone that you think it can help them grow. All right. On this channel, we bring financial literacy. We bring motivational speakers. We bring people that inspire you. We bring people that help you get your finances in check, your fitness in check. We do a variety of things on this channel. And the goal is to help you level up your life, level up yourself. And some of the guests that we bring on here are extraordinary people. And my guest today is an extraordinary individual. All right. I got to watch some of his content online, and he's just inspiring so many people out there. He's got a huge message, and I know this is just the beginning to a very bright future. And this man right here is the definition of success. He is the definition of Black excellence. And one of my goals on the channel, on the show, is to highlight Black individuals that are doing great things out there and really inspiring other people and trying to make a change and trying to change history and trying to leave a legacy. So I'd like to introduce to the show, Adrian Leckie. How you doing, Adrian?
Hey, I'm in great spirits, man. Absolute pleasure to be on the show. Hello, community. Pleasure to meet you and happy to be able to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man, for everything you're doing. We thank you for coming on the show. And, our audience may not know you yet, but after this show, your DMs are going to be full and everyone's going to be asking, who is Adrian Leckie? So for our audience, who is Adrian Leckie?
Hey, for sure. Hey, you're going to learn today. You're going to learn today. Yes, sir. So one thing I've worked on being intentional about, besides the jobs and stuff, just like talking about the individual, actually who I am before all that. So who I am, Canadian born, Jamaican, spiritually rooted and grounded person, passionate, heart driven individual. I am currently, a lot of my work and what I do revolves around like community building, connection, and being able to provide space for people to be their best selves. One word or one thing I would like to be able to leave this world knowing is being a catalyst. I was drawn to that word ever since I was in like grade 9, like biology, when you hear about the mitochondria being the powerhouse, but the catalyst of being someone who's able to support someone in getting to their destination and goal with more ease.
Yep.
And so a lot of my work revolves around supporting Black identifying youth and young professionals and being able to be their best selves and understand like who they are, what their powers are, what their superpowers are, and how they provide spaces for other people to make impacts in their communities and in the world. So yeah, I do that within the realm of the University of Toronto Scarborough. I'm overseeing the Amani Black Academic Mentorship Program. And Amani is a program where I have Black identifying undergraduate students supporting Black middle school and high school students in the Scarborough area to support through an Afrocentric curriculum, as well as talking about access to post-secondary education and how to make sure, despite barriers that may exist in the educational system, how they can still be empowered to make sure that they're making that impact within colleges or within universities to be whatever they want to be, despite whatever barriers that may exist. So that's the root of what I do. And then I'm also do some public speaking and some coaching as well. Similar realm for youth, for racialized youth in particular, to give them a space to let them know that they're heard, that they can be empowered, and they can do whatever they want to do as long as they have the tools and resources and the supports to be able to do that. So that's a bit about me. And then, deep down, also a huge geek at heart as well. Love my comic books, love my movies, love my anime. And when I'm not doing that, I'm also I'm a huge connector. So I love being able to reach out, connect with friends, connect with family as well. So that's Adrian Leckie in a nutshell.
Yeah, and that's great, and we really appreciate all the work you're doing, and everybody needs a mentor. And it's so
Absolutely.
important, the role that you're playing in people's lives. So we just want to thank you here on the channel. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop doing that.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you.
So, and you have great, I just want to say you have great energy. I don't know if you guys can feel that energy, but I can feel that energy from across the room here. That's some great energy, my brother. So keep that energy going.
I appreciate it. Right back at you, myself.
Thanks,
right
brother.
back at you.
So I want to talk about Black excellence. A lot of people want, well, the Black community, they want to start achieving Black excellence. They want to get to that level. And now with social media, we have content creators who are Black. We have, people in higher positions that are Black. We see other Black people being successful. So now, what does Black excellence mean to you, and how can you get on the path of Black excellence?
Wow, this is a powerful question. I think it all starts in the first letter in each of those words. This the idea of Black folks being able to be. I think there's such a power in Black folks being able to take up space and be able to be their authentic selves in different spaces, and being able to do that and fully actualize who they are, what they're passionate about, what they're interested in, how they could make change in the community. And that way they're also be able to be an inspiration to other people. So Black excellence revolves around like two main pieces for me, which is like self-actualization and really tapping in, despite, again, any barriers that may exist around you. Who are you, and how you can take the space to be able to manifest and do that within, whether it be work, your communities, and your relationships. And also being a role model, being able to be that inspiration for someone else. And I think as you encapsulate both of those pieces, like despite you trying to, I feel like folks who are, exemplary ideas or examples of Black excellence aren't necessarily trying to be that. They're just naturally doing that. Yeah. And I think that's the main piece there. It's just a matter of knowing who you are, being able to tap into that. And that alone allows yourself to be like that inspiration towards the communities that you're connected to, and be that motivation for other people to be able to be empowered to do the same. Yeah. So I think a lot of those pieces revolve around like Black excellence and what it is and how you get into that path of Black excellence. It all starts with knowing who you are, executing that despite any obstacles, and then folks will be watching and be at awe of who you are.
Yeah, I love that. I love that definition of Black excellence. And if you want to get on that path of Black excellence, I strongly believe that you're on that path of Black excellence. And if you're having difficulties maybe finding yourself or knowing who you are, Adrian would be a great individual that you could reach out to, so he can help you, maybe connect to yourself or find yourself, because you've clearly found yourself and your passion. And I want to, talk about passion, like, because a lot of people now, they're like, I don't know what my passion is, or, should I follow my passion? So there's so many questions about passion. So how can someone find their passion, and should someone actually pursue their passion as a career?
Oh, yeah. So this is a big one for me. Like, I remember what I mentioned at the first thing a little bit about who I am. I'm a very passion driven and heart driven person. And I think being able to find your passion really starts with reflection and experimentation. Like reflection, I think there's a lot of pieces of us that we could find the essence of our passions kind of looking back to when we were kids. Like, what are the things that really got us inspired or excited? And then how can we make sure that we bring up these spaces on a regular basis? It's so easy to be caught up with like the mundane of like life and what happens, that if we don't take that time to be able to kind of feed into like that inner child of ours, be able to tap into some of those interests that we've had before and just dive into it, I think that's like the root of like finding our passions. I saw this Instagram post the other day that was like, when you reach 30, it's like it's the prime time for you to tap back into when you were 13 and be able to do those things that 13-year-old loved to do unapologetically.
Yep.
And I think about my life, where it's not until I was able to reflect to where I am is where I was able to see all these different pieces of who I was when I was a kid and how I'm actually like actualizing these pieces. I think about when I was a kid, like as a bit of a side note, I grew up as an only child. And I had a very protective Jamaican mother. So there's a lot of times where I was staying at home for majority of the time while my friends were out at the park doing their thing. So I spent a lot of my time like watching television. And the embarrassing aside to that is after my TV shows were wrapped up, I was like, man, I wonder what would happen after this in the next episode. So I would be in my room pretending to be each of the different characters in the show and reenacting what I think is going to happen in the next episode. It sounds crazy for many people. That's only child life right there. But what I got out of that was learning how to be empathetic and be able to tap into like, what are these characters thinking about? From there, I was able to get into communication. I was loud when I was doing it. My mom got concerned sometimes, like, wait, who are you talking to in there? But it gave me the opportunity to do that and act out. And to this day, like I do acting on the side. And to this day, I do like public speaking. And I know that these things are things I have passion about because I'm tapping into that same kid that loved being able to act and reenact these things.
Yeah.
So being able to think about what are the things that excite us or even the causes that we're really interested in being able to support and making sure that we're staying in integrity of following through with these pieces, I think is a key element for us to be able to tap into our passions. Now, the last piece of your question, when it comes to pursuing your passion as a career, I have two different thoughts on this. I think on one piece, there is this Japanese concept called ikigai, where it looks into the different components of what makes like a fulfilling life. And it looks into like 4 elements. It's what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. And if you could find something that intersects with each of these different elements, you found your ikigai, you find your something that gives you like that meaning. And I think through reflection of this concept, I think on one end, it's definitely possible for anyone to find a career that has these different overlaps and elements. It's definitely possible. And I encourage folks, there's a website that you're able to just type in different questions or answers to different questions, and they'll give you, here's a career that kind of lines up with this calling. However, I also am very conscious that there's some folks that don't really need a passion to be embedded in something that they're getting paid for. You know, so you could be something that you have something that you're really good at. It's a need that a space has and you get paid for it, and they're cool with that. And I think that's fine. Yeah. But I think there's also the understanding that if those are the elements that you're investing a majority of your time in, acknowledging that there is that one element of what you love and what you're passionate about that may be missing, that you have the opportunity to incorporate in your life in some way. If you don't have the privilege or you don't have the opportunity to have that thing that overlaps, that's not a need, there's at least a calling to say, if you have these other pieces settled, make sure you take time to invest in that piece, because that way you're able to have that balance between, doing something for, as an ends to a means, which is fine for some folks' lifestyle, and that's cool. But also being able to make sure that you have that time that you're taking care of yourself and doing yourself the service of at least investing some time to do something that you love or something that you're passionate about. So,
that's honestly one of the best answers I've ever heard. I always ask this question, and people are so unsure, should I chase my passions, to go after my passions? And I really like how you said, sometimes it's a means to an end. Like you have to work to pay the bills. You got a mortgage, you got rent, maybe you got kids, but also find the time to be doing the things that you love, and you don't necessarily have to always get paid for your passions. If you're passionate about something, you'll just do it anyways.
Exactly.
It's not always about the money. So I really love that answer. And make sure you guys rewind this about a minute and listen to that, because I know a lot of people struggle with the whole passion thing. So thank you for that, Adrian. So the imposter syndrome, we talk about the imposter syndrome, and that's something you talk about. So I wanted to bring that up, so, how do we get out of the imposter syndrome?
Yeah. So I say this to say that I'm going to give answers based off of my experience, but I'm no master to this game of life. I'm intermediate at best when it comes to navigating this game. But at the same time, I think there is nuance in the lessons learned as you're learning it as well, to share. So the imposter syndrome is something that I encounter through the work I do, through the education I've been through, the education I'm currently pursuing, and through the spaces that I've been in. And this ongoing feeling of, despite whatever credentials and things you may have or may not have, this idea that you don't belong, you shouldn't be in this space, or really being critical about why you belong in this space. And I think there's going to be a reoccurring theme with the things I bring up, but self-awareness is one major piece when it comes to tackling this. But also an important piece as well is like external objectivity. And I think a balance between those two pieces allow us a self-informed, but also a realistic perspective as to who we are in relative to the space and the people that we connect with. So when it comes to self-awareness, I see that as like, I understand that these are the things that I'm really good at. These are the things I'm comfortable doing. These are the things I'm really good at. Despite what anyone says, I'm grounded in knowing that I'm a strong communicator. I'm a strong critical thinker. I'm a strong organization, whatever it may be. We have those skills that, despite what the world says, that we know that we have some confidence in it. So one is self-awareness there, and also self-awareness to know why we chose to be in the spaces that we're in. Like, for me, like, one big thing in being in higher education spaces that's meaningful to me is, I know I don't see a lot of Black men in higher education spaces, whether it be students, whether it be staff members, whether it be faculty. I don't see enough of Black men there. So I find it very a passion of myself to be there in order to encourage other Black men to know that it's possible to be in these spaces and thrive in these spaces. Right. So despite what the institution shows me, based off of what I see commonly, I know I have a responsibility to be in these spaces and to speak up in these spaces. Right. So despite whatever hesitancy I may feel, I'm grounded with my focus and values to, this is my purpose being here, my mission in being here. So that's one thing. The other thing when it comes to external objectivity now, I think that's an important element to consider, because it's so easy for us to get caught up in our head when it comes to why we don't think we're good enough, that having people who we can rely on to remind us as to what are the things that we're good at and the things that we can improve on, honestly, gives us that validation to know, despite what I may think, here's what the world thinks about me in a real way. So I saw this one chapter of this John Maxwell book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Yep. And one of the activities that it said that I always stood out to me, I can't remember which law it is, but one activity it said was, reach out to 5 people who you're either connected to as like a supervisor, a colleague, or a family member or something, who could give you like honest feedback, and ask them, from a scale of like 1 to 5, how good am I at this? What is an area that I could improve in, etc. And being able to gather those pieces from different people in different parts of your life, you see the overlap of what their feedback is. And when you're able to see that, you're saying, okay, objectively, these are the things that I could work on. And knowing that you could always improve in it. But also, here are the things that I could excel in based off of these are things I already excel in based off of what the people around me say. That's right. And I think from having those two perspectives of building your self-confidence and also finding reliable external sources, we're able to combat those creeping feelings and thoughts of imposter syndrome. But it's also a practice, and it's something that we have to stay consistent in on a regular basis to continue combating it. Yeah. No matter the spaces that we're in. So yeah, I think those are two pieces that really resonate with me, that I also make sure that I remember, as they're saying, like, new levels, new devils. Yeah. And in a similar vein, I feel like no matter if I'm going into a new space, I know that creeping feeling may come up. So I have to make sure I come prepared for that, or for these thoughts and these intrusive thoughts. So those are two things that have worked well for me.
Yeah, that's great. So make sure you guys are taking that advice that Adrian has given you and really apply that advice, because that's something that could help you. Because, a lot of times, a lot of people get into that imposter syndrome mindset, So if you could really take that advice and apply it, that can help you, from, experiencing that imposter syndrome. So thank you for that. So there is a song, Drake, I just want to be successful. Right. So we're going to shift gears to success, right? Like,
Yes,
I want success, and I know you want success. And for success, when we say the word success, it means different. It means something different to every individual. So what does success mean to you? And what does it mean? What does it take to be successful?
Oh man, I love this question. I love this question so much that I decided to make a podcast about this. So I'm actually starting to make a podcast called Shades of Success. Starting September 14th. Look out for it.
Let's go. September 14th. That's exciting.
Yes, sir. Yes. And it's all revolving around this one question of like, what does it mean to be successful? So for me, I've had a problem for the longest time of success looking like money and getting a lot of money. And if once you achieve a certain amount of money, you've made it. And I find it being BS, because we see people in the world who have money and we see the challenges and struggles that they go through as well. And there's still this lack of fulfillment that exists when you are, have a lot of money, because it doesn't solve everything. No. So with that, we're kind of left with, if it's not money, then what is it exactly that causes that, defines success? And I think, to be quite honest, there's a power that we have in being able to define what that success looks like for ourselves in a more holistic view that incorporates our health, our spiritual lives, our relationships, our, careers, our passions, whatever it may be. There's such a layered perspective and view when it comes to success. I think success really is being able to live a life where you are taking each of these different components of your life in consideration, and they're held in a way that makes you feel content. Yeah. Like, not necessarily, I don't think there's going to be a time where like, oh man, like I mean, it depends on the person, but I don't think there's ever a time where it's like, success, I've reached the destination of success. I think it's like an ongoing thing that we go for, that we strive for. And it's like, it kind of acts as like a thing that we kind of like have to pour water every now and again. Certain times things will be out of whack, and it's okay. But I think being able to understand, and again, that self-awareness, being aware of what are those different components of a content and fulfilling lives for ourselves. What is it? And how are we staying in integrity to those pieces and investing in those pieces in our everyday lives? I think I've reached a point in my life currently where I'm like, success, I have an idea of what it is. And I think it's the balance of feeding into my calling, like what my purpose is in this world, with having fulfilling relationships and also doing meaningful things to the community around me. I think those are the elements of what success looks like. And it's going to change depending on like my age and where I'm at, and, the things going on in my life at the time. But being grounding and knowing what those pieces are, I think really feeds into it. And so what it takes is really knowing what's important to you and making sure that we're taking small steps every day to know that despite how far something may feel, I'm taking those incremental steps, knowing like what my vision is for what a successful and fulfilling life is for myself.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's honestly a great response. And, I found myself too, basing my success on money at one point. So I like how you said, it's not just the monetary, success is in your relationships. Success could be in your health. Success can be in different ways. And for different individuals, success is very different. So I really like that response. And I had to shift my mindset around what success meant, to me. Success is not just monetary. So, that's great advice that you are giving. Thank you, Adrian. So habits, we talk about good habits and bad habits. And I know that's something that you have discussed on your page. And, how do we create good habits and break out of bad habits?
Woo, man, this is another one where I'm like intermediate at the game and I'm still working at it. But I think when it comes to creating good habits, breaking out the bad ones, again, it starts with self-awareness. And this is why, Marcel, when you have your name Marcel mindset, it really
Yeah.
resonates with me because every one of these questions, it really revolves around that mindset
There you
too.
go.
So
Yeah.
no, I appreciate that, brother.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
yeah, so self-awareness. When it comes to habits, I found the science of habits so interesting because without being self-aware, what we're doing is we're navigating the world. We're being swayed by the things that happen around us, these external stimulus that happen around us. We react to it, potentially mindlessly, and we end up with results that we don't really want. So it's all about being able to be aware, one, of like what that negative habit is that we have. I'll root myself, being honest. Like an example for me is I'm currently shaking off a habit of energy drinks, like the rock stars
Yeah.
and all that. I've had, there's certain seasons where I'm like, oh man, I'm busy. I need to just like crack open a rock star or something. And then I read into like, oh man, these things are kind of bad for you. I need to kind of ease up. So in that, where I started was thinking about, okay, what's the bad habit that I have? In this case, is drinking the energy drinks. So then from there is thinking about like, what's the thing that causes me to do that? It's like, what's your trigger? So for me, it's knowing that if I'm up between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m., it's highly likely that I'm going to get that craving. So as soon as I'm aware of that trigger now, it's what do I do about it? And what's the action that I want to do to replace it with? So I know that one goal I have is trying to be in bed by 11:30. So as long as I'm winding down and I'm asleep, I know that I'm not going to be trying to pop no rock star if I'm in bed ready to go to sleep.
Right.
But in the case where I have to be up at like 12:30, I need a backup or I need another action. So I have a sparkling water in my fridge at all times to make sure if I have that craving, I'm popping my bubbly.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I know that I have that to lean on.
Yeah.
And something as simple as that, of just like being aware of the thing, finding out how can you prevent yourself from doing that thing and what you could replace it with, is the starts of being able to break out of those bad habits and start new ones. But then you have the consistency and how you stay consistent with those pieces. And so the element I found there that was useful was accountability and letting people know. So now, Marcel, I know that your audience knows that I'm trying to stop these rock stars. So if anyone wants to holler at me in the DMs and say, yo, Adrian, you popping them rock stars, I'm now accountable to you all. But it's like knowing like who are the people in your corner, the people who are rooting for you, the people who could hold you accountable to the things that you're looking to achieve. And also, how can you do a service to them and knowing like what are the things that you could support them in being accountable for as well. So I think being able to embed that sense of accountability and being aware of those triggers are like the start of it. But knowing that it's an ongoing process. The mind is a powerful thing.
Extremely.
And left unchecked and left mindlessly, it will be shaped based off of our external stimuluses. So being able to take that ownership and take that autonomy for yourself is something that's very powerful and liberating. But it's a process. It's a process. You're unrooting years of bad habits to be able to make that change, and knowing that it's going to take more than a week of doing the right thing to be able to overcome it. So, yeah.
That's great. So, you know what? Find yourself an accountability partner. It could be someone online, could be a partner, could be a friend, it could be a coach, so find yourself an accountability partner that will help you. And you want to be building good habits. Good habits come with success. Success comes with good habits. All right.
So Marcel, I have a question for you though.
Yeah, for sure.
What's a habit that you're working on right now?
So a habit I'm working on is actually funny because you said, energy drinks. And my thing is coffee. I feel like I've been dependent on coffee so much. Like in the morning, I'm waking up and I need coffee. In the afternoon, I feel like I need coffee. And I don't want to be dependent on any type of, drug. And I know coffee is a drug. So I don't want to be dependent on coffee. I want to be able to, I find my energy within, or find my energy in other ways. So I'm not saying coffee is a bad thing, but I want to improve on, not always depending on coffee. I don't want to be dependent on anything. So I want to, reduce my coffee intake for sure. So that's something that I put out here. Now I got to be accountable to that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. So now I'm gonna have to go back and watch this and said on this day I said that I'm gonna stop drinking as much coffee, as I'm drinking right now, because I don't think it's that necessary. It's a habit that I built and I'm so used to. And sometimes this is just like a subconscious thing. I don't even think about it. I just go and reach for it. I'm not even thinking. I'm just programmed to go and do it because I've been doing it for so long.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing too. It's just I think how you said that you don't want to be reliant on something. It's powerful. And I think a test or experiment that many folks can do is if you were to put your phone in your room right now and just have to stay away from it for an hour, just test how you feel. Because I think I noticed that too when it came to like social media too. And I knew when I put my phone away in my room, I was like, yo, I have this craving, especially when I'm stressed, knowing that I have this craving to be able to go on it. And you could say, oh, it's just I'm curious about this. I'm curious about that. But why couldn't you not do that for an hour or for an hour and a half? And thinking about, again, like the people around us, society around us wants us to be reliant on these things. Yeah. So being able to make sure that you seize that freedom for yourself and just even do like little self experiments to say, can I go X amount of time without doing this? Yeah. And if you can't, being curious and asking yourself why. Exactly. And starting from there and being curious about it opens up a lot of doors for you when it comes to considering like those positive and negative habits. So
that's right. Yeah. Thank you for asking me that question, because I'm usually the one asking all the questions. So
I'll keep you on your toes.
Yeah, thank you. So it's actually good to have one of the guests come on and ask me questions. And feel free throughout the show to ask me a question. Well, I actually love speaking as well too and answer a question. So thank you for that, Adrian.
Okay, let me ask you another question now.
Let's go. Yeah.
Okay, so going back to your previous question, what does success look like for you?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Success for me, is doing the things that you love to do. And if success to me is doing something you really enjoy to do, and you don't necessarily have to get paid for it. That's what success looks like to me. I'm doing something that I really am passionate about. I'm bringing guests on the show, and that's success to me because I'm allowing the space for other people to grow. I'm allowing a space where other people can express what they're doing. So success to me is like helping other people. Success to me is seeing other people grow. So it's not a monetary thing for me. It's just like more so, helping other people and seeing other people benefit from, watching my show. So success to me is just, that's what success is to me. And for me, success is like going after my goals. That's success to me. Whether I reach them or not, to me, that's success because I took the step to actually go after my goals. Like that's success in itself. Whether I achieve them or not, I know that I'm going to grow by going after my goals. That's success by just going after them, no matter how hard it is, or how big it is. I feel like I'm successful for just the simple fact that I'm trying to make something happen here. That is success in itself. So that's kind of my, beginning definition of success. I could probably expand a little bit more if I had more time to think about it. But yeah, that's what success means to me.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. So, comfort zone, right? A lot of people, they're in their comfort zone. And for me, I'm a strong believer in getting outside of your comfort zone, and I feel like a lot of growth will happen outside of your comfort zone. So I want to ask you, do you believe growth happens outside your comfort zone?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. One thing I share with some of the students I support when they're doing facilitation for other students is knowing that there's like a safe zone, there's like a danger zone, and there's like a sweet spot in between that's like your comfort zone, there's like a danger zone, and then there's a sweet spot in between that's like your learning zone. And that's like a sweet spot where I like encourage a lot of folks to be able to dive into, because I think each of these spaces have a place in our lives. Like I think the comfort zone is important. I think it's an important space to have a comfort zone when it comes to times of reflection or times of rest. No one's trying to be uneasy when you're trying to rest. You know what I mean? So the comfort zone has a place. But us staying there or having permanent residency in the comfort zone is something that prevents or stagnates growth. So the one moment in my life where I realized that there's a power in the comfort zone was, I think it was like right after I graduated university. There was this public speaker. His name is Sahil Dhingra. and he had this challenge, this 30-day challenge to connect us with like people in our circle, but also people outside of our circle. And I remember like the one challenge that we had was we had to go over to a store and buy something for someone that we didn't know. And for me, I was like, that's easy. And I remember walking into a Target when Targets were in Canada. And I remember walking in there. I was like, okay, I'm going to buy something for somebody. I looked around. I was like, yo, how the heck am I going to do this? And I remember that there's this one lady that was near in the DVD section. And I remember picking up this DVD, looking at it. She put it down. I was like, okay, this is my opportunity. I'm going to do it. So I walk over, I pick up the DVD. It was like Crazy Stupid Love. It's the DVD. And I walk up to her. And I remember as I was walking up to her, I was like, this is a dumb idea. Why did I sign up to do this thing? And I walked up to her. I was like, yo, excuse me, miss. I would like to buy this for you. She looked at me like I was crazy. She was like, excuse me? I was like, yeah, I'm just doing this challenge thing. And I really want to buy this for you. And she's like, all right, cool. And from there, we had such an engaging conversation. She asked me, so why are you doing this again? I talked with her. She's a complete stranger I wouldn't have connected with otherwise. And as I placed my $5 to buy this DVD for this woman I have not seen again, I sit on that experience and I think to myself, this was such a cool opportunity. I had a glimpse of this person's story and how many other cool stories are out there that I get the opportunity to connect to just by stepping out of my comfort zone and saying something, And so this is something that I try to remember for myself in times where I feel uncomfortable. And a lot of the times I've had my biggest growing moments were times where I stepped out of my comfort zone. Okay. I've did a solo trip to Japan a couple of years ago that was monumental when it comes to my growth and my understanding of self. Last year, the year before, I skydived, and that was something that was something I've always wanted to do ever since I saw Will Smith do his speech on skydiving. I was like, okay, I got to give this a shot, and was mind blown. From that moment of stepping outside of my comfort zone, I experienced an anxiety when it comes to like administrative tasks. It's weird to say this, but like writing emails and stuff, I get anxious doing it. I get anxious because I want to get my words correct to make sure people understand me. Yeah. Now I have this reference point to say anytime I feel scared to do an email, like I just jumped out of a plane a couple of months ago. How am I afraid to do this little thing?
Exactly.
And so being able to be grounded in knowing that the things that our growth can be found just by doing something that makes us uncomfortable. Also knowing that there's a calling. There's a reason why we're called to do the things that we want to do. Despite whether we know it or not, there's a reason for it. Again, I mentioned I'm a very spiritual person, and I believe that these opportunities and things come up to us for reasons that we not be able to describe. But I think the comfort zone adds this air of mystery of knowing, I don't know why I'm called to do this thing. And rationally, I may not even have a good reason to do it, but I know that there's growth for me, there's learning, or there's a lesson here for me to dive into. So yeah, I'm a huge advocate for making sure that we exercise being outside of our comfort zone. There's so much growth and connections and it's like meaning that could be felt out of some of these things that we're hoping to do. So definitely encourage folks, make sure they step out of it every now and again for their growth.
There you go. Step outside your comfort zone for your growth. And now that we're on growth, what does having a growth mindset mean to you? And how important is it to have a growth mindset in life?
I think this one's a simple one for me. I think growth mindset looks like, again, a self-awareness of knowing exactly where you are, knowing where you want to be, and how you holding yourself accountable to the steps that you're taking to get there. And I think the mindset is that continuous commitment to that process, that continuous small actions that you take on a regular basis to get yourself one step closer, despite how difficult or challenging it may seem, holding yourself accountable to just taking that one small step in order to get to where you're hoping to be. It could be something as simple as developing a skill that you want to develop that you feel uncomfortable about. It could be as big as nailing that one large goal that you have for yourself. But growth mindset really starts with acknowledging and having that self-awareness of knowing where you are, what you need to improve on, what you're good at, and also knowing what are the steps that you're taking to get there.
Yeah.
And again, I think that stagnation is something that is scary to me. You know, I'm like, one of my fears is reaching a point where I'm unable to, make progress, to whether it be, I don't know, like, again, God forbid, like I reached the end of my life. I'm like, I wish I could have done this, or I know I could have done this, but I didn't take the steps to do it. It's one of the biggest things I fear. And that stagnation piece there is something that I want to make sure that I'm holding myself accountable to, knowing that I don't want to be in that space, at least not for a long time. If I'm, we have things that happen in our lives. But committing to that growth mindset is something that's, I think, very important when it comes to adding value for our lives and also the people around us as well.
Yeah, that's right. Commit to that growth mindset. And this next question kind of relates to this question that I just asked you. So should people take risk or play it safe?
Yo, with this one, I'm going to say, I feel like folks may know, mans that just skydived and bought crazy, stupid love to person who knows the answer I'm going to say. But I'll say it depends. I think it depends is my answer.
Okay.
Where it depends on your situation. I think in this stage of my life right now, I'm fairly more on the risk-taking end, knowing that there are certain things that I aim to do when it comes to being like a public speaker, coach, etc. Is things that I guess it's not like necessarily traditional, or things that it's not as easy like a 9-to-5 situation, but something I'm committed to do. But there's also a risk with that as well. But I'm open to taking that risk, knowing that I have the privilege and the systems in my life to be able to take that risk. I know that there's certain pieces, again, people who have to ensure that they have a consistent level of income coming in and have kids and other commitments as well, that taking risk might not be as feasible, and that's fine too. And I think that it's a matter of taking calculated decisions, whether it be calculated risk or being calculated when you're playing it safe, but not playing it safe because it's something that you're used to or out of familiarity, more so because it's a calculated decision that is in the best benefit for yourself and the people who are affected by your decisions.
Exactly.
So I think that's where I land. It depends, but also if you have the opportunity and the privilege to do that one thing that you're really curious about, I say dive in, take the chance and go all in.
Go for it. Yeah. Yeah. I really like that response.
Calculated.
Keyword.
Calculated,
right? For our audience out there, make sure it's a calculated risk. Okay. So, the show's been great and I've been learning so much from you, Adrian. I have one final question. Make sure you guys comment below if you want a part 2, because I feel like there has to be a part 2.
Absolutely. Call me up so I get more questions. I'm going to be questioning Marcel next one more too. Keep him on his toes.
Yeah, there you go. I actually have to step out of my comfort zone in my own show today when you ask me those questions, because I'm not in the answering mode, but I'm in the asking question mode. So
absolutely.
I respect you for doing that, because that's going to help with my growth, and I'm all about growing as an individual and getting better. So thank you for actually helping me grow today here on the show.
Hey, my pleasure.
Yes.
My pleasure.
So our final question for the show is, should we follow our dreams or follow the money?
Oh, I'm a dream chasing man. And again, I'll acknowledge the privilege I have to be, I'll say like financially good in this stage of my life, to be able to take the space to reflect on like what are those big dreams and aspirations I have, and taking the steps to be able to pursue them. And there are people who are out there who, have nothing and are like, I'm going to go all in to pursue my dreams, and I admire them. But also I think that it's important to be grounded in knowing that like what your purpose is in life. What is your calling here? And again, spiritual person. It's something that I feel like we're all in this world for a reason. We have that one person that we need to impact, that one conversation that we need to have, that one thing that we're able to build, or even when it comes to like in our families, like what our purpose is, what that dream is we have for them. And that's cool. And I think that being able to be of service to that inner voice in our head, that inner calling that we have, that calling that our heart has to do that thing, like we owe it to ourselves and our ancestors that have been the reasons that we've been brought here to be able to follow those dreams that we've inherited. Like the one thing that really stumps me or really has me at awe when it comes to the privilege I have to be here is that there are so many circumstances and situations that had to happen by chance for me to be here right now.
Right.
Whether it be in my life or even the people before me, the people had to meet for me to be here right now. There's so many things that had to happen for me to be here. It'd be such a disservice to all of those things and all the entities that have led me to be where I am right now, to not take up the opportunity to follow through with these dreams that I sometimes have no control over. Why I'm the one who's inherited them. Why am I the one that had these ideas to do these things? Because I like with Marcel, there's some people who have no interest in doing a podcast and no interest in having these conversations.
Yeah.
But Marcel's the one. Marcel has chosen to have that call. He had that calling. He's chose to facilitate this space. That's a calling.
Yeah.
And so to be able to recognize this calling and be able to do a service to ourselves to explore where these dreams and aspirations take us, I think it's something that trumps money. You could get as much money as you have when it comes to those experiences or those moments that we have where we're in our element or we've tapped in a bit closer to that dream or even like living out the dreams that we've had and we have that moment. There's nothing that could buy that feeling. And I think that's a big reason why we continue to follow those dreams. Money will come. Money will come, whether it be within that pursuit of a dream or we find a way. I feel like we'll figure it out. But those feelings of fulfillment that we have from following our dreams is something that, man, you can't put a price tag on that.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brother, you touched me, man. Honestly, you touched me, man. I'm all teary-eyed over here, man.
Oh, man.
This guy got me. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you so much, man. Wow, man. This is my best episode to date. I really thank you for coming on the show. How can people tap in with you? How can people get connected with you? Because, brother, you just inspired me, man, to just keep going, keep following my dreams, keep developing, keep getting better. I consider you a role model of mine. I'm going to continue to watch your content. I need to see some more content from you, brother. Like on YouTube, your podcast, on your page. Like I need to see it, man. You got that gift. You have the gift.
Wow. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
The world is yours, my brother. So how can people reach you?
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram at my full name. So that's at ADrianLeckie. You could also follow me with this new podcast I'm making, that's Shades of Success. So that's at Shades of SIXCESS. And you can also follow me on LinkedIn as well. I'm quite involved there too. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions when it comes to coaching and getting the space to be able to talk about some of your aspirations, your goals, and how you can make those a reality. Feel free to hit me up. I'd be happy to collaborate with you to make that a reality.
That's great. Adrian Leckie on the show. I feel like we might go viral after this. This episode,
damn.
Marcel Mindset might go viral because of Adrian Leckie was on the show. So remember, guys, click that like button below, comment, share. And if you find any type of value, make sure you're sharing these episodes. Like I said, that helps my page and that helps yourself as well, too. Make sure you're taking a bunch of notes. And the key is the application. Don't just listen to this podcast and never go back to it. Maybe listen to this 3 to 5 times, take notes, and apply what you heard here today. Again, Adrian, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here on the show. I learned so much. I felt like I was a student just absorbing all the information. You're so well spoken. I'm humbled to have you here on this platform, and I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to be in your presence and share the time with you. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you, man.
It's an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure, myself. Thank you so much.
All right, Adrian Leckie. Remember, guys, Marcel Mindset. Tap in. There you go. It's all about the mindset. Adrian Leckie, I appreciate you, my brother. All the best.
Yes, sir. Take care. Peace, everyone.